Okay, so in today's video I'm going to look at animating a marble run as a motion study. This is going to be a basic motion study. The first thing I'm going to do before I start the study is turn off the mates that are controlling the position of the marble. I've used them previously to place the marble, but now I'm happy to get rid of them. So we go into motion study. So this is a blank motion study. Find the option at the bottom of the screen, and I want to place a couple of motors. So I've selected motor, and I want this helix to rotate. So I've selected motor. I need it to rotate in the other direction, so I click rotary motor and click the other direction, and it switches. I can change the revolutions per minute. It's set to 100 at the moment. Let's slow it down. I'm going to go for 40. And I need one more motor. So we've got this big wheel, big cog in the middle. I've selected motor again. Select the wheel. It's rotating in the right direction. Now 100 RPM is probably a bit quick. This is going to be a 60-second video that I'm going to put together. Let's slow it down. 60, maybe 60 is a little bit quick. Maybe 15. So 15 revolutions per minute, that might do it. Okay. Right, so we've got our two motors. Let's just readjust. Turn off the cameras. Disable the cameras at the moment, so we don't want anything moving around. And if we switch to basic motion study, click calculate, it'll calculate what we've animated so far. So it will default to a 5-second clip, and if you want you can play it back and you can see how quickly your motors are actually traveling. I'm now going to add some gravity. So we click gravity. I want it to be focused in the Y axis. I'm going to leave it as standard. This basically means that the ball will fall in the Y direction if it's ever released during this animation. So the next thing I'm doing is I'm putting in a contact mate. So a contact between the ball and the helix, and now the ball and the tube. Basically I need to put contacts between the ball and most of the items it's going to come in contact with. So the ball and the first ramp, the ball and the pan or the funnel, then the wheel, all contacts, and then the table that the wheel's sitting on. That's very important, otherwise it'll fall straight through the table. And then finally the ball. Oh, we selected the wrong. Get rid of that. The ball and the lower ramp. Okay, happy with that. The one thing we don't need to make a contact with is the platform, because the ball's never going to touch the platform, hopefully, unless it falls through. If this all goes wrong, then the ball will shoot off the screen and probably hit the platform on the way down. So I want this to be longer than a 5-second clip, so I'm going to make this sequence a minute long. I can do it the old-fashioned way, manually. So I'm moving the end frame manually to the end, but there's a different way of doing this. So let's select edit key point time and then just change this to 60. So you can do it the manual way, or you can do it this way, which is a little bit quicker. So I've got 60 seconds to work with. I think I'm ready to run this. So I've set to basic motion. I'm happy that my mates are basic. So I'll explain that in a minute when we're running the calculation. So right, so we're running a calculation. So this is just going to run through it very slowly, and it's going to show us what we're likely to get when we run back the finished calculation. So here you can problem solve, you can troubleshoot, you can see if anything's going to go wrong. Many times during the setup for this video, I found problems with the mechanism and I readjusted things and I went back into the assembly, made some modifications, and then came back and reanimated. So you can see it's running through a couple of cycles during the 60-second clip. The calculation is showing that the mechanism is working. It's working quite well. And then when we run this back at the end, we'll have a finished animation. I say finished animation minus camera adjustments, which we'll look at in a bit. So let's just play it back. So you can see I'm needing at the moment to manually modify the camera position. And if we hadn't placed the gravity, Solidworks wouldn't know there was anything bringing the ball down in the y-axis direction, and the ball would just fly off the screen. So gravity was very important in this sequence. Seems obvious, but in CAD world, we usually have to specify these things. Okay, so I'm fairly happy with the animation, or at least I'm happy that it worked. So I'm ready to place some cameras now. So let's change the cameras. Previously they were disabled. Let's bring them back. So we can place keyframes for alternative camera view. So I'm just getting my start view how I want it. So let's just get everything lined up. Okay, let's figure out where we want to place a keyframe. So I'm at 2 seconds. I'm changing the view. I need to place a keyframe. It's not highlighted at the moment, so I need to select and I need to enable. Okay, so I've selected keyframe plus and it's placed a keyframe at 2 seconds. So you see that little black line on the bar? The camera is going to switch views during that first 2 second sequence. So this will all become a little bit clearer in a minute. There's a little bit of fudging around to begin with. So keyframe. So you can see the black bar has extended. So basically what we've done there, when we play it back, we'll show you. Just placing more keyframes. So you can see there's a gap between 12 and 16.5 seconds. And that's where the camera sits still, doesn't move. Let me stop this. Select the camera. Place another keyframe. Or maybe not, just move the keyframe we had to work with. Make sure that you select the camera view before you place a frame. So there you go. We got a movement here. So we've got a movement from the top of the spiral helix down to the cog. So you can see up to 12 seconds we're moving up to the top of the helix, then down the top ramp, and we need it to move a little bit earlier than 21 seconds. So at 17 seconds we start moving down towards the big wheel. So yeah, you can see initially that looked a little bit muddled, but working through it you can kind of find a position and keep swinging forwards and backwards on the timeline until you get your keyframes exactly where you want them. So here, placing one more, so I want to switch from the point where the ball drops, swing it around and bring it down to the bottom of the helix. I'd like it now to track the helix right to the top. So let's find out where we want it to start moving. So around about there, just after 29 seconds. And now I'm just going to manually move the camera where I want it to be. Right to the top of the helix. And then play the animation. And when it catches up, we can place our keyframe. It's not obviously yet, but let's just manually play and then move the keyframe to match. So just before 41 seconds, around about 40, so let's move the keyframe. Okay, so you can see now I play back and we're tracking the ball as it moves. Okay, final sequence. I want to start my movement now, so at this point, between this point and I think just as the ball comes into the funnel, so let's move around here. Add a keyframe. This is going to happen way too quickly, but we can then stretch this keyframe out. There you go. It's probably around about there we want it to end. But we can mess around with things. We can play this back as much as we like and just extend, shorten these keyframes until we get everything just perfect the way we want it. And then we're going to finish. As we finish, we'll zoom back out. In a second, we're going to adjust every single position, every camera angle change, just to kind of like get it exactly where we want it. But at the moment, we're just generally placing things. Just to make sure everything is kind of where it needs to be. And at the end of the video, we want it to zoom out. So I want it to be, I want this view, I want this to be my finished view. So that's the last keyframe. Okay, so let's see what we got to work with. I can tell you now that there was a little hiccup there at 2 seconds, and as I'm recording this after I've put the video together, I didn't quite sort that out during this video. But there's a second part to this video where I sort that little 2-second hiccup at the start out, and that'll be in the beginning of the next video. So everything's moving, maybe a bit quick. That was very quick. That switched views, and that's very quick as well. So we can slow these things down, but we kind of got what we want. So after the calculation's finished, Solidworks tells us with that beep. And then we can just move stuff around. So let's just stretch things out. So that was too quick. We need that to slow right down. That was a little quick as well. Might give you motion sickness, the speed of that moved around. This switch needs to be slowed down as well. So let's extend this. Okay. We're nearly there. So bring it all back to the beginning when we're happy. Just making sure. Extend this out a little bit further. It's quite important that you do have breaks in the camera angle switches, otherwise just the constant motions just make you feel sick. So let's just playing the video back. What do we have to finish? Slowing everything down. in the end. And that's it. That's how you make your basic marble run animation.